name is George Thomas, and today I'm going to share with you a topic that I personally see very interesting for a lot of all of our clients and partners in the market, and it's about how not to adopt cloud services. Yes, it's how not to adopt cloud services. So I'm going to focus on 5 key considerations when you're considering migrating to cloud, or even if you're using cloud services. So this topic is relevant to whether you've already adopted cloud in one form or the other, or you haven't, you're still on-prem or using co-location services, and you're considering moving to cloud. So there are a few points that a lot of our clients and organizations miss out. And after they move to cloud, they realize that this is not what they expected. So cloud comes with certain promises, and our clients have certain expectations. And what I'm trying to achieve here is to meet those promises with the client's expectation and avoid any surprises in the future. So the first key consideration that I want to touch on is optimization. Now, optimization sounds clear, it's self-explanatory, but really what I mean about it is clients come to me and say, I want to move my environment as is. Can you give me a pricing proposal to move that infrastructure as is from on-prem to cloud? On-prem, that could be their own infrastructure. It can be managed services, managed hosted, or co-location services. So I tell them, you're asking the wrong question. Because if you want to move it to the cloud, you need to make use of the benefits of cloud. So to give you an example, if you're using 100 gigs of storage on-prem, and you ask me to price it in the cloud, well, I'm going to ask you what is your not allocated resources, but your actual consumption. So if you're only using 40 out of the 100, then I'm going to price you 50 or 60. And then in the cloud, you can easily scale up as and when required. Similar with your compute resources, CPU and memory, we would normally look at your average consumption over the past 3 to 6 months. And guess what? Most of the time we see our clients running at a 30% at best case average consumption. The rest is wastage. So in the cloud, we would tailor that consumption based on your actual usage, not on your allocated resources. So this is just a very basic idea to show you that you can actually save costs, not by asking for discounts, but actually optimizing your environment. And that also includes rescheduling your resources. So services like backup, for example. In your traditional infrastructure, you would normally be paying a fixed monthly fee every month just because that service is running, whether you're using it or not. Now, scheduling meaning you should only be running your resources when the backup operation starts, and after it's finished, shut it down, and only pay for the storage that you're using, but not the service, not the resources that are being consumed, right? Hope that makes sense. So optimizing and scheduling and to only run your services as and when required would, drop your consumption and your wastage drastically. And this alone can range between 30 to 40%. Sounds too good to be true, but it's proven. And for that reason, we are seeing a big trend of clients moving across to cloud. Not everything can move to cloud, absolutely not. And that's part of the discussion we always have, because it's much more complicated than that. So if something's not ready to move, it should stay on-prem, right? Now, the second point, the key consideration that you need to look at is automation. Now, one of the true benefits that cloud brings in is automation services. A lot may claim that they have automation services, or I've got a virtualized environment. Unfortunately, a virtualized environment is not cloud, because it's still a CapEx model, it's OpEx. You're limited to the size of the hardware that you've got on-prem or you're renting. But cloud promises virtually unlimited resources, right? You should never run out of resources. But over and above that, automation comes in. It comes in with self-service key, right, in your service. So you don't need to log a call and wait for an agent to attend to your call in the next 24 hours. Self-service, you just log in from anywhere in the world, deploy your resources, scale up and scale down, right? Scale down. Well, if you're using co-location services or on-prem, managed hosting services with a local service provider, your contract will probably dictate to you that over the year, 3 years, 5 years contract, you're only allowed to scale up, but you're not allowed to scale down. At best cases, we've seen contracts where they allow the clients to scale down, let's say 20% month on month, but you cannot come tomorrow and say, I want to shut down my resources. Cloud is completely different. There's no long-term commitments. It's monthly, consumptive, pay-per-use, and you can scale up and scale down at any time. So self-service is part of those automation services. Automation also includes that you can automate your resources, be it compute resources or storage or even bandwidth. At peak times, imagine if your systems know how much bandwidth they need to allocate, scale up, and then after the scale down, or add more resources or add more virtual machines when required, and then scale down when it's not needed. So your billing is actually matching exactly flowing with your consumption. There's no overscoping, wastage, and there's no underscoping where your departments are looking for, or your clients looking for services, but they cannot find it. So automation is very broad when it comes to cloud services. And it requires actually a lot of R&D investments. And Huawei is one of those companies that last year invested over $20 billion on just R&D. So you as a client or as a partner, you leverage this R&D investments and you continue to be ahead of the curve and in the competition because you're using the latest and greatest technology. Now, the third point that is very important is the managed services part, or some might call it outsourced contracts, right? So you have a system integrator that's managing your environment for you. Let's say they're managing, for example, your infrastructure all the way up to your application. In some cases, they call it layers 1 to 8. What happens is, by moving to cloud, this changes your managed services scope, and hence how much you're paying or being charged for your managed services contract. Now, the partners might not like that reality, but the fact is, by moving to cloud, the scope of managed services is reduced because your system integrator will not manage your underlying infrastructure anymore. So talking general, and I'm saying general, right? It's always a case by case. If you have a service provider that's offering you managed services across all your layers, and then you move to cloud, and they lose that infrastructure managed service portion, as a end client, you've actually probably reduced about 20% of your managed services cost. So cloud is indirectly reducing your cost from your managed services contract. Now, as Huawei, we make sure that we maximize the cost savings to our clients, but at the same time, our partners and your partner is very, very important to us. So what we do uniquely here is we make sure that this portion, that 20%, for example, that was lost for the managed services by you migrating to cloud, we make sure at Huawei that we maintain that margin for the partner or the system integrator. So in other words, it's a win-win situation. Win for you as a client, we're saving you costs from a managed service perspective, and we will make sure that we maintain the margin and rebates and benefits that the partner will get. So we're not actually competing anymore as a hyperscale cloud provider with local service providers. We're just another option for you, the end user who wants to move to a platform that's much more agile, flexible, far more secured, as well as hosted locally, right? It's very important that the services are all delivered and hosted locally. Now, your system integrator will continue to manage your application database if you want to in the cloud, because as a cloud provider in Huawei, we provide you with the platform all the way up to the operating system. And it's up to you and your partner or system integrator to manage operating system and above. Now, another important point, which is the unknown costs of cloud, right? And it's one of the reasons a lot of the clients are hesitant to move to cloud. I personally call it hidden costs of cloud. Hidden not because it's secret, but it's because it's unknown. A lot of our clients, even partners, don't know, how to forecast bandwidth. So when you get a pricing quotation to say, give me some price of how much that server is going to cost me or service in the cloud, cloud providers don't know how much bandwidth you're going to consume, right? But if we come and tell you, look, if you're going to use disaster recovery as a service, you're going to migrate data between two data centers, two availability zones. Well, why should I be charging you for the traffic between those two data centers if I can avoid that? So at Huawei, we actually offer that at no cost. Traffic between two data centers is free. Traffic between two availability zones, in other words, is free. There's no cost to that. Imagine if your application's talking to another one in two AZs, or disaster recovery as a service, or backup as a service. Imagine all that inbound and outbound traffic. Well, we make sure not to charge you for that. Another example, certain applications have an architecture where you have two virtual VLANs and you want to allow traffic between VLANs within the same data center. Normally, you will be charged for that in a lot of the cloud platforms. At Huawei also, because we understand this is critical to your application and experience and the architecture, we don't charge for that. Direct connect, if you have a point-to-point connection, free of cost. Another thing is object storage. If you're using it for backup or archiving, well, only outbound traffic. So if you just think about it at a very high level, you want a cloud provider that can highlight to you really those hidden costs and make sure that you're doing a like-for-like comparison from on-prem to cloud, and can give you that view not just on the short term, but on a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, long term, how that's going to look so you can forecast. Not just that, a lot of our clients say, but I have a fixed budget. I want to make sure I don't exceed it. Usually they think, well, cloud, because it's consumptive, I'm going to get some surprises here. I'm going to get spikes in my consumption, my usage, in my bandwidth costs. We have clients that have been running for several years at a fixed budget. We can make it happen. We work with you as the end client, and we work with the partner to ensure that the service that's delivered to you meets exactly your technical requirement as well as your business requirements. Now, the last point seems very obvious, but we do it differently, and that's enablement, which includes training and certification. In most cases, when you use new software, new vendor technology, you need to be trained, you need to be certified. In fact, some of the cloud providers, some of the vendors, if not all, will tell you, well, to use our product, you need to be certified. And you need to pay quite a good lump sum amount of money to get certified. Imagine if you have your own internal IT people and you want to certify them. Get them trained, get them certified in order to be able to use our services. Or if you're a partner, you need that certification, otherwise you lose your partner status. Now, at Huawei, we balance that. We want to make sure, again, it's a win-win situation. First of all, you as the end client, we provide you with training to get you independent. If you're managing your own internal IT infrastructure, we will train your IT staff and we will get you officially certified to the level that you are fully independent. We will absorb that cost. As a partner, if you're managing the infrastructure on behalf of your clients, we will provide you with the training, the certification, all at no cost to make sure that you can add true value to our clients. Because again, if we charge you as a partner, right, you're going to pass on those costs to your end client. But if we don't charge you, then you can add more value and more benefit to your end clients. We've seen also small partners that we take very good care of, that they want to grow. Now, to give that opportunity to them and to the young people in the market and universities who want to get trained and certified, we give that opportunity to the community to make sure that we certify them, we train them at no cost. We absorb that cost. We want to make sure that you can adopt those cloud services and that cloud can give you, provide you with the promises and also meet your expectation. So when we talk about partnering with Huawei, the partnership is zero or risk-free partnership. Again, partnering with Huawei is a risk-free partnership. So if you think about what I've mentioned earlier, in fact, there is no commitment or obligation to our partners. There is no investment required from your side to be able to deliver your client services on Huawei, to resell Huawei services. Only when your end client sees the value and moves to production and ready to go live, will you start billing them and Huawei will start billing you. If your end client changes their mind at any point in time, there is no obligation or commitment. There is no investment. There is no risk to the end client or to the partner. Our focus is to grow through our partners, and the references that you see on the screen, this is just a very short list, an example of some of the local partners and customers that have adopted cloud services. And we believe in the hybrid model. We believe that you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. So we're not saying everything has to go to Huawei Cloud. We say where we are good at, we will make the recommendation suggestion to improve it and put on Huawei Cloud. Other services, we can recommend that you keep it where they are, whether they're on-prem or on another platform, to make sure that the end client maximizes their benefit as well as the partners. So I hope I've managed to add some of my views around really the 5 key considerations when migrating. It's far more complicated than this, but at least I'm sure if you're listening to this conversation, at least one of them, at least one, if not 2, relates to your own environment. So if you'd like to have further conversation, please visit our booth, get in touch with us, and we are more than happy to take this further, one-on-one or through our partners or through your own partners, so we can see what we can do in your journey to the cloud and to transform your business to be a sustainable business in the future. Thank you very much for listening.